This is the way of bathing in heaven. Dozens of bottles of high-end liquor worth millions are poured into an inflatable swimming pool. The man soaks himself in it, then sprinkles a circle of salt around the edge. It feels like heaven. The reason this man dares to indulge so recklessly is that he is the last man on earth. In 2020, the world was hit by an apocalyptic crisis. Everyone around him went to heaven, and only Phil survived. In search of others, he drove his RV across all 50 states of America, shouting in 8 different languages, but couldn't find a single soul. Left with no choice, he left a sign on a billboard saying there are still people alive in Tucson and returned to his hometown. Once back, Phil completely let himself go. He eyed the mansions by the roadside, broke in, and moved in directly. World-famous paintings worth hundreds of millions, dinosaur fossils from museums, even an Oscar trophy he picked up from an actor's house. Everything became part of his home decor. He kicked down supermarket doors and filled his cart with junk food. And of course, he didn't neglect his spiritual nourishment, bringing everything home. As for entertainment, Phil made sure to spoil himself. The bigger his imagination, the bigger his playground. A regular bowling ball wasn't enough, so he replaced it with fish tanks. He became more and more outrageous. He even started tossing bowling balls. His carefree days lasted almost a year. Then one day, Phil opened his calendar, and it happened to be his birthday. He couldn't help but reminisce, missing the company of his family, the warmth of a hug. But now, all he could do was wish himself a happy birthday. 5 months later, Phil had become little more than a beggar. His mansion had turned into a trash heap, the swimming pool into a cesspit. His once idyllic life had transformed into an endless torment. He was unbearably lonely. He even started mimicking scenes from the movie Castaway, drawing faces on all the balls. He chatted with them daily, and when he looked at magazines with women in swimsuits, he found them all beautiful. Despite owning the whole world, Phil became more and more unhappy. What he lacked was people, especially women. Then one day, he remembered a model he had met briefly before. Without thinking, he smashed the window of a shop and walked up to her to strike up a conversation. But in a clumsy moment, he accidentally tore off her arm, shattering his fantasy in an instant. That day, Phil drove around aimlessly, hoping to find traces of human life. Suddenly, he slammed on the brakes because, not far away, he saw a wisp of smoke rising. This meant there were still other living people in the world. Phil hurried over, and sure enough, he found signs of human life. Just then, a woman's voice came from behind him, and when Phil heard it, he was so excited that he fainted on the spot.
Hello? Hello? Are you okay?
I think so.